Hi, Yuming. You can start now.
Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to the IFLA Talk and Share. Today, the topic is pushing boundaries in landscape architecture, and there will be two presentators. And one is me, and one is Mr. Beck. And we'll do a quick two presentation, and we invited two panels. So let me introduce myself. Now I'm a professor at the University of Seoul, Department of Landscape Architecture. I'm also working as a landscape architect, design director of Byron. So, and Mr. Beck, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello everyone. I will introduce myself during my presentation so that you can go first, and then I
Okay,
will.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm not sure like how many people are watching this, and we are landscape architects from Korea. I'm also a professor, and today my issue will be a AI revolution, and of course, we can show our works, our projects as landscape architects, but this IFLA Talk and Share, we want to share more some issues, hot topics, what we want to focus, and also we'll show some I'm going to show some projects related with Korea too, but it doesn't really limit it to my projects. So let me share my presentation first. Hold on, present. So it'll be roughly hold on. I got a message that some people cannot really listen us. Is it true or?
So far, okay though.
Okay. All right. So today my topic, it'll be roughly a 15-minute presentation, and originally this presentation was made for an hour, so I just got rid of a lot of pages. So if you have any question later, you can just give me a question in the chat as a chatting or later question and answer time. So my topic is AI revolution. What does it really mean to landscape architecture for us? Roughly 100 years ago, the famous architect Le Corbusier, wrote a book about architecture, the new architecture, and he raised the issue, architecture or revolution. It's a really famous phrase that at the end of this book, he raised the question to everybody: should he go for architecture or revolution? What does it really mean? That means there's two meaning when Le Corbusier asked question about architecture or revolution. First one is how can we really innovate the architecture? And second, there's a second issue. He also asking with the same question. He's asking how can we avoid the revolution through the architecture? Because if you think about 100 years ago, there's a lot of political revolts. He think if we change our space, our city architecture, then we can avoid this kind of disaster. So if I rephrase this question, he asked two questions: how architecture can innovate itself through the technology. The second one is how architecture can innovate the world through architecture. I want to apply this to our time. and also the landscape architecture. So if we bring the same phrase, landscape architecture or revolution, then we can rephrase those questions to like this. How can we innovate the landscape architecture in the era of AI revolution, technological revolution? And second one, the hidden meaning of this question is how can we avoid the catastrophe through landscape architecture? Of course, with those technological revolution. Let me go for the first topic. Of course, we're using a lot of technology these days. Especially the graphic. And now I don't know how much you're really using the AI graphic, but more and more we are using it, regardless we like it or not. Mainly the technology in landscape architecture was a technology of representation. I'm just limited at our topic to the design, not like construction, or there's other realm where we can apply those AI techniques. But originally landscape architect used technology for to represent our concept. This is one of my work. Left one is computer graphic rendered concept, right? We first start with concept and we implement it into the real world. And it's like right one. Another images. Left one is computer graphic. It's more like symbolic, symbolic graphic. That's what I made. It's more a little bit poetic. It's not just realistic image, and right one, I made a small garden, black and white garden. And normally we use the technology like this. But after the AI revolution, now it's not a technology of representation. It's changing to the technology of creation. These are myself and my company needed to design some kind of symbolic landmark, and we tried creation through the AI. And these are the options. And as you know, we can create a lot of them in a really fast time, really efficiently. Of course, whether it will work on the site or not is a different problem. But anyway, like the efficiency is really fast. So just think about how we design. Maybe first principle is creation through reasoning. So we make the logic. As a landscape architect, we trained like this way from undergrad, right? And AI, there's a really strong AI application using these kind of process creations through the reasoning, the rationale. And this is one GSD student. He's an MArch student, architecture student. He made an Archigun, and it's like automatically through the machine learning. It creates automatically the floor plan for the building. And this become a more commercial program. This is one program called Finch, which is a commercial program, and it's kind of advanced Archigun. So you can also create AI generated plan, and it'll kind of evaluate the efficiency. But if you see the rationale of AI creation, it's not only following the reasons, like it's not only following the equation. The real strength is without any kind of equation, it creates something new. And this is one algorithm called Deep Dream. I don't have a time to explain this algorithm in detail, but you can see it starts from the jellyfish, and after hundreds iteration, it become really weird creature, and AI making this as through the misunderstanding. So basically, it misunderstands the shape of jellyfish to dog or deers or different animals, and then it creates the new kind of creature. It looks a little bit creepy, and this is a really interesting kind of a test using the cyclogon. This is Fernando Sacedo. He was also the student in the architecture department, and this using the algorithm called cyclogon. And you can see he just like kind of changing the fabric, and algorithm misunderstood this as a structure, which really looks like the Zaha Hadid's design. But traditionally, designers from the ancient time, we create through the mimesis, mimicking some beautiful stuff like nature, for example. And this is Daniel Boljan. Boljan is a professor, and he's also using the algorithm called cyclogon. And this whole project is reinterpreting Gaudi's Sagrada Familia with AI. Because if you think about the rationale of the Gaudi, he tried to mimic the forest, and the Daniel, he actually used the cyclogon to do the machine learning, that how can actually the AI can think about the forest and apply to the Sagrada Familia. So this is one of my a project with my student, a graduate school student, and this is I try to do some kind of creation through mimesis with also the logic, because the question, this research question is, can you really mimic the style of famous landscape designers? They're the Thomas Reiner, and Dan Pearson is a really famous garden designer, and they proposed module planting, and it's like this, and we create the algorithm with the grasshopper, and then try to mimic the Thomas Reiner style. But the AI is evolving as a kind of a really new method, and this is a CAN, which is a different kind of algorithm, and you may know the image of the left side. It's created by the art group called Obvious. And this is the first AI drawing which was sold into Christie. I think it was roughly 50K is 50K. And this algorithm is simple. It creates the image till which doesn't really look like any other artist's work. So it's a creation through the differentiation. The logic is creation through the differentiation. And there's some interesting works. This is done by the really famous artist Refik Anadol, and basically he raised really interesting question: can building dream like a human? And he create those systems through the AI, and he create the artificial memory. And let me just like here, he create the memory of Walt Disney Consultant in Los Angeles. And this is how he collect all those data, which is memory of the buildings, like a lot of images, and also the musics, and also from the images from SNS, and all those like concerts that happen in that building. and then he showed the dream of that building and projected on the surface of the building. So these are AI creation, not only changing our way of production, but also raising really interesting philosophical questions. What is the creation? And this one is a work done by, I found it in the GSD final thesis for the MARC. And basically this student, he's a final thesis studio. And he tried to, let's like this analyst, and he tried to combine the Zahadi, the Carlos Scarpa, which is totally different style of architect. And if they work together, of course, it's impossible because they also passed. So if they work together, what kind of a building they can create? And let me just quickly show. So this is a site in Rome. And he used a lot of different kind of AI algorithm, and based on the image creation of Scarpa and Zahadid, they combined it as image. Let me just go quickly. And he used AI to summarize what's the characteristic of that images, and then put it into make it as plan and create also the 3D with AI. Of course, the final end product, he worked manually. This final one is he based on those materials created by AI. He redesigned those AI materials. I think I have the second topic, but I only go through the first one. But let me just stop it here. So there's another issue about how can we actually prove what we are really doing. Well, a lot of case we're these days landscape architects always saying we're fighting for the climate change, but how can we really prove it? Is it really landscape architect project? How much it really contributes to climate change? And the second part, I was trying to show the recent research of how researchers using the AI to prove it, and how can we apply to our design. But I think I ran out of time, so I will just stop it here and give it to Mr. Beck. Okay.
Thank you for Youngmin. Yeah, it's really big presentation. Yeah, you gave us a lot of really big question, and then really based on the AI era today. So let me just start my presentation file.
You should do the full screen and then share that full screen. You can select the full.
Okay, sorry. Can you see this presentation file? Oh, okay.
It's not in the full screen yet.
Okay.
You may need to swap the view.
Yeah, let me just try again. Oh, okay.
Yes, so now it's great.
Okay. So today I'm going to talk about nature-driven innovation. And oops, sorry. Can you see the pages?
Yes, we can see your profile right now in full screen.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Jonghyun, and I'm landscape architect, and I studied landscape architecture at GSD. And now I'm a CEO of HEA, which is the landscape architecture firm, landscape design office. So today I'm going to talk about some research and development project which I have had done before, like more than 10 years ago. But I still, these projects will give us some kind of inspiration. So please enjoy my presentation. Well, basically, as your landscape architects, I'm a person who believes in the value of nature. So let's start the first project. Well, I would like to start with moss. So as you may know, moss is like pioneer plants, which adapt under like unorganic environment first, and then they don't need any soil, and they don't need high maintenance. They include high water retention capacity. So I was interested in moss species because I thought moss will give some answer for the urban environment. So there have been some experiments to utilize moss as their as their like green wall system. So this is the building, and then some of my friends tried to adapt moss on the facade of the building. So this is a really simple product, simple system, which includes some wires, and then they mix the wires and the moss, and then they made some kind of fabric, like moss fabric, and then they just attached the fabric on the facade of the building. But this project was failed. So that is the start point of my research and development project. So during the GSD, I started the moss project as a researcher, and then we decided to monitor moss previous moss system, and then we installed some green carpet with moss on the rooftop of GSD building. And then, yeah, we kept monitoring under weekly basis, and then we tried to find some hint or tried to find some clues, and then based on our monitoring period. At the same time, we also developed another prototype of green wall and green roof using 3D technologies like Lino 3D modelings or 3D printings helped us to generate this kind of prototypes. Then we adapted most as well, and then this is like really early stage prototype, which is like really modular, and then we can just make some variation using this modular system. And then we also different shape. We also tried to make a different shape and different patterns, and then we analyze those prototypes as well. And then I was very inspired by nature at the time. So these images inspired me very much. So, as you know, for the green wall, the water is very important because the green wall has very difficult environment for some plants to get some moisture from the sky. So these images really inspired me, and then we copied that shapes, and then we made also some prototypes like this. During our research period, I was interested in some theory such as fractal or biomimetics. And then, as you know, or not, biomimetics is some theory to find some solution based on the logic or some logic of nature. So biomimetics or biomimicry is the model or some kind of measure or some mentor. So biomimicry is looking for some solution based on the nature as model, nature as measure, nature as mentor. So I did some making and leading, and I tried and I failed every time, and then I just found some patterns when I look at the previous system, most fabric. So I found some pattern, and then I also found some pattern. This is kind of rock, and then rock with the holes, and then most started to grow from the small holes, and then they grows and covered all rocks in nature. So because the moss doesn't need any soil, they get all the nutrients from the air. So the wind, shade, and water is very crucial for their growing. So and then the scale of moss is really small. So I call the microclimate is the key to make the moss grow well. And then at the scale of moss, we needed to create some kind of heterogeneous environment for their growing. like the room between the pebbles was adapted to that rooms, and it started to grow well. So we started to study pebbles as well. And then our goal at the time, we combined moss and pebble. We decided to combine moss and pebble. So we studied pebbles, and then we create some 3D models that look similar with pebble. And then I was looking for some prototype 3D models. And then we made the holes on the pebble, and we did some 3D printing, and then adapted moss, and then we monitored what kind of prototype will fit or will be the best, will be the affordable for the Moses growing. So the model was evolved at that time. So we developed our prototype, and then we found some final prototype which has a heterogeneous environment, which can provide some kind of heterogeneous environment for the moss. And then, at the time, I was looking for some factories to produce this prototype in a mass production scale. So this is Sella. So Sella, the name of Sella comes from the cell, because I thought that this unit looked like a cell, and then we can produce some kind of surface or some three-dimensional installation using this cell-like unit. So this kind of green pebble system was announced through the some channels. Then people at the time were very interested in this new product and new system. So, but we didn't make some business using this system, because we were run out of money. So we decided to stop our project. We decided to not to do mass production for this. Because we don't have any money, and then we were not convinced in this system not fully. But during our development of this system, we also explored some other categories using these products. So, such as the architecture, or some interior, or some fashion and art. So we experimented many prototypes in these kind of categories. So we wanted to expand our system to the other categories, other industries, but it's just also trial and failure. The second project is called Cello. So I was working for the development of new system at the time. So I was also interested in green wall system. So previous green walls, we have, we have a lot of types of green walls around our environment. So I thought the green wall system is getting evolved using new technologies such as some aeroponics or some, air purification system. So I imagined some kind of system which is like just a Lego. So Cello is green Lego system, and then I want to show some short video clips. Yeah, Cello is a new kind of new system using some technologies like fog system, aeroponics. And then we can control the environment using some IoT technologies, and then we can also monitor their growings and their environment using some sensoring technologies. So this is the cello system. And then, we presented our new system in many exhibition at the time. It's like also, 10 years ago. And then we tried to get some investment from their investors through there's some demo days or some startup day. And then, we collaborated with other companies. So Ilsong company helped us to examine some plants growing using this system. And then the Ensing, which is very popular urban farm company, helped us to develop some sensor system and then some control systems. So I called I think at the beginning I told you that I'm a person who believes in the value of nature. So I also believe in the innovation based on nature values is taking place in our daily lives. We can see there are many types of green walls and then the green roofs, and then we can also find some urban farming using new technologies, and then we can also experience some new space using some, utilizing some green technologies and some, plants. So, I was dreaming some first step. For the first step, we can develop some smart green system, and the second step we can develop the new garden place, which I called social garden. And then at the last, we can develop some green platform, which is a new marketplace and a new platform for those who are interested in nature and the nature experience. So yeah, for the smart garden, I was studying some business models to utilize their rooftop of buildings in city, and then we can share that rooftop, which is the garden, at the same time some really cultural place to exchange some plants or exchange some experience based on the nature experience. So I tried to develop some new app, new platform for those who want to grow something in the city on the top of the building, and then we can exchange some stories, experience, and even plants or some even some pepper and carrots. So this is what I was dreaming at that time. So including me, as your landscape architect, I thought we believe in the value of nature, and then we can, using the developed technologies, we can calculate we can measure the value of nature, like such as this New York street tree map, and then if you click the one street tree, you can see the value of that trees yearly. So now we are living in this kind of era. So this is the last video clip. So we participated in in 2017. We participated in the Seoul Urban News Biennale, and then we presented our new system, Cello, and the prototype of our social network. So everything is very small and easy, and then it can easy to share, easy to make. That's what I was intended. That's what I intended to create. And then I believe that kind of system will give some social impact, will make some changes on our environment. So yeah, every system I developed were inspired by nature. Thank you for your attention and interest.
So, should we bring Hein and Suran here?
Sure.
Hello. Well, thank you both Youngmin and Jonghyun for your very provoking talks, and I think there's clearly a lot to digest to everyone. So for the next parts, we'll open up for more informal discussion. And I'm Hein from Seoul. I'm here to be an informal moderator for this second part of the talk. And please leave your questions to the chat, and I'll help select a few questions from the audience, and we'll hear from both speakers. And also, I would like to introduce Suran, who is joining us today as a panelist. And before we open up for the floor questions, I think we can hear from Suran first about her comments, any thoughts, or any independent questions that you want to ask to either of the speakers. Suran, why don't you start?
Sure. Thank you both for a really wonderful presentations. It was very thought-provoking, and I think it was really interesting that the two presentations, when looked at it together, I think because what Youngmin was showing on his part about how AI is developing not as a modes of just representation, it's becoming an agent that could kind of create new things. And I feel like that technology is moving in a really fast pace. And we all know that the actual construction industry, where we actually build things underground, has so much more limited resources. And even though the technology is there, and people are doing a lot of research on it, it's to become affordable and accessible. I feel like it's taking so much time compared to what's happening in the digital world. And in that aspect, I felt like what Chongyan was showing in his projects like KILA and Zello starts to offer a really interesting kind of perspective on how we could think about bridging the gap that exists between the digital world and the physical world. So I want to kind of ask both of you, like, how would you approach, like, how do you think about the gap that I think the AI is going on an exponential speed, and the actual technology and construction is moving at a much slower speed. Like, how do you think the AI and like what is our role as landscape architects in this reality where the gap seems impossible to close?
Who wants to go first?
Jonghyun, why don't you go first? Right?
Yeah. My office also is examining a lot of AI technologies to produce some images, some renderings. So we try to adapt AI technologies in landscape architecture, design process. But I think this is really early stage of AI technology. It's just like 2 and 3 years. From when we noticed AI, technologies was introduced. So I think there is still big gap between the AI technologies or AI world and the actual world. So we're making some images or some text using AI, but I don't think that is that, because AI will change the world very rapidly, so that like 5 years later, maybe I guess AI will start some, actual things like a really, three-dimensional products or some, yeah. So I think, yeah, that is the very, my point to look at the AI technologies. So I think there's still a gap.
Well, so for me, of course, there's a gap, but I brought up this topic with the Corbusier at that time, 100 years ago. Technology was actually the construction was going in advanced than design, because the modern architecture, they kind of got shocked by not those like design method, but the like engineering. And I think it's not a construction engineering, but um, it's about the if it's just limited to the construction engineering, and there's a obviously gap in the real world. But I think if you think about the engineering in terms, not if you go beyond the construction, then there's almost no gap. I think, for example, if you think about the CES presentation by Jensen Huang, the NVIDIA, the next vision is not only improving the digital world, but he was more focusing on the robotics and how you can actually change those the physical. He's now saying the physical AI. So a lot of the high technology moving on to the robotics. And well, because of the time limit, I take out a lot of like a presentation, but there's also some new technology developed for those construction part. For example, the professor Yumi Lee at SNU, she and her company developed the AR system. So it's basically pursuing construction without any drawings. So if you put the glass, and it will show where to put those concrete and where to put. Then there's all those like information. So I think the more important part is um, so there's I think that it's totally different realm of possibilities open right now. And one of my professor at GFT, he mentioned that don't worry about how the world will apply your design. Your design will kind of trigger those technological development. So the people would think about if you have like a new way of designing, people would think of how to realize it. So I think the issue is those gaps. I mean, there will be almost no gap really soon. I think because um, you know, well, if you just limit it to landscape architecture, I'm not sure. But if you see the other realms like industries, like engineering, it's going together. That's what I'm thinking. And our role is how can we provide a new vision for it.
Yeah. And then, yeah, one thing is that with AI, I think our perception is changing. Yeah. Let me just talk very interesting talk with. I met one English artist yesterday. His name is Bon Wolf, and then he came to Seoul to present his artwork, and then he utilized AI technology to produce his work. So he let AI train his style and his words, his philosophy. So he's actually training the AI, and then almost all paintings and drawing were actually generated by AI. So Bono is really famous artist. And then so my question was, what is your inspiration? And then he answered that, he one of his favorite artists or favorite is Leonardo da Vinci. And as you know, Leonardo da Vinci is also scientist and artist. And then he just questioned to me, what if Leonardo da Vinci is born again in this era? And then what will be his interest in this era? And then he answered, Leonardo da Vinci will interested in NVIDIA. So yeah, Bone Wolf told me that, we traditionally, our position towards the world is from ours, our education, our, thinking, and from Europe. But he told us that AI started to have its own perception. So maybe, this is kind of a really big, interaction between people and the AI.
Wow, great. Thank you for the very thoughtful answers. And because this event was originally scheduled to go on until 8 p.m., so I will cover the questions from YouTube first, and then if everybody bears us, then we'll probably go for another 10 or 15 minutes to continue our conversation. So I'll pick up the question from Yunshik Kwak. I think everyone can see it from the chat. But if I summarize it, I think it's mainly to Youngmin. And as AI enters creative domains, landscape design is increasingly being mimicked or even replaced by machines. So one key aspect we should pay attention to is AI's ability to translate and interpret data to support complex design decisions. So Yunshin would love to hear your thoughts on this, especially how your view might differ as a practitioner and as an educator.
Well, a lot of people worry about AI is taking the designer's job or work role, but I think it cannot really take all those roles because if you see, for example, Yunshin, I know him, and he researched on the evidence-based design. And the issue about the AI is I think also Enrico mentioned about it. It's unpredictable in terms of the aesthetic point of view. That's why we're using AI because and it's really efficient. But if we see if we focus on the efficiency, I think it should be balanced because AI. If you think about the aesthetic point, it's leading us to the new type of aesthetics and new way of the thinking about design creation. But if you think about the engineering point of view, it's really increasing the efficiency. For example, I didn't really show in the PowerPoint, but for the structure engineering linked with the design, there's also the application that creates the shape that is more based on structural efficiency. For example, Autodesk Dreamcatcher is not just for the creating the new artist form. It's about how you can go straight forward the production, and in the larger scale of planning. we used AI for better land suitability analysis. But the point is, can AI decide everything? I don't think so. In the real world, there's a lot of political issues and cultural issues, and if you combine everything, but the actual decision making is a lot of case. In many cases, it's more of a political issue, not just like a rationale or efficiency. So I think the issue for the designer and planners are how we use it, how we kind of maximize those our potential as a designer and planners using the AI. I think that's the real point.
Great, thank you. Actually, there are also some interesting comments about Youngmin's talk, and we'll come back to that after covering some questions to Jonghyun. Well, I also felt the same way, but here there's a question that about the Cella and Cello, about the smaller sized cellular units. Have you considered the use of this as a substitute to structural soils or polypropylene structural cells in the market now for the street pits? It's the question from Enrico.
Well, yeah, I tried many attempts to realize those new systems. So sure, I was considered that directions for that kind of use, but yeah.
Well, related to that, actually, there was another question from Fed, whether Cello actually was ever deployed in real urban environments already.
No.
I wish there is a chance. So I don't know if anyone noticed, but I was the one who was happy in the cubicle of the Cello in the photo that Jonghyun showed. At that time, 7-8 years ago, I thought that it was incredible. Maybe it was like way ahead of the time. But I have a question. If the technology of this all generative AI was available then, do you think there is an aspect that would have been different in developing Cello or Cella?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think, that is possible. And then, but that's my question. Yeah, I will take a look at. I'm imagining some time I will utilize AI technologies and then to redefine the Cella and Cello in a totally different way of producing or some mass production. So but I think it's too early. Maybe 3 years later or 5 years later. That will, but I will make total different system, maybe, because AI will change everything. I believe in I believe that.
Yep. And I also wanted to deliver the comments that even though Youngmin, you couldn't finish the whole presentation, I'm guessing you were talking about like proving and quantifying the impact of landscape architecture work in some Fed there again commented that they used the software called NVMet, which I think many people are familiar with, to compare the performance of a project area based on the material properties and the chosen planting methods, things like that. So I think definitely these are some of the key examples of the technology that are evolving in that aspect. And also there was Enrico's comments that AI generated graphics that Youngmin showed, they're everywhere and often very, very inconsistent in a way. So he thinks the real potential seems to lie in exploring new design styles and processes, like as you have shown, combining Zaha and somebody else's style into one. So in short, he was commenting that AI is more promising when it's applied at a higher level of design thinking rather than just for production. Do you have any following thoughts on that?
Well, for the Fed comments about quantifying it, well, I think the real issue is um, we're already doing it for like for GIS system, which Ian McHarg and Esri made, is about quantifying the result of the planning, right? But the issue, I think the real problem and the new potential for the AI is the issue is we can quantify it, but after we design it, we quantify it. So, but after quantifying, after proving, okay, it's not enough, then are we going to redesign it, everything again? So typically, we finish our design and give it to another specialist lab, and then quantify. Oh, this is good for the carbon secretion. But if it's not, but how are we going to do that? And how do landscape architect really knows how to enhance it? I think that's the real issue. And also the MV map is one application that quantifying those heat island effects, such like that. But what about the water? What about the carbon? What about air quality, water quality, everything? So we have a tool to quantify carbon and each of the indexes. But what about like together? Can you do it? And even if we can quantify it for the designers, after that we got a report, right? Landscape Foundation doing all the reports. And what if it's not enough? I mean, how the issue is how we can improve it, right? So I'm actually in my school. I'm working with some other researchers about. It's more about the without any kind of like a time gap. We can see it, see the when we make the design, and we can see how it works, and then then let me just like reduce this part, and then all the results are changing. So we're trying to do that, and I think Autodesk, Esri, big kind of those developers, I mean the IT developers are making those kind of tools right now. But my question as a designer and also the researcher is there any new way of design methodology? Because I think it's more about design methodology, traditional methodology, and then we prove it. That may not really work in these days. So it should be inconsistent, without any kind of gap. It should work together, like designing and verifying. So I use different kind of techniques called like a genetic algorithm, and it's not there yet. But I think landscape architect and the landscape researchers, we need to work together to develop those kind of new platform for. I think it's more. We need a more like a new design methodology suitable for the AI revolution.
Yeah, I think Jarvis will come soon. The movie Iron Man, Jarvis, yeah, is doing everything you want. You can just order or you can just talk your thoughts and your idea, and then Jarvis will show some result, which is yeah, images, hologram images, or Jarvis will also create some physical things at the same time.
And another in terms of the Nico's comments, I think AI is not perfect yet because if you think about how AI give an answer, it may not be truth. AI doesn't know is it false or truth? It just collect all the images outside.
But what is the truth? Truth is also
For example, it's simple. Like, is Korea bigger than United States? No, right? Small is the truth, but AI, if there's a bunch of like false information about no, Korea is bigger, and then AI will answer no, Korea is bigger than US. That's one kind of weakness of AI, because when you do a really deep research, if I ask a lot of it to AI, but it's giving a bunch of like wrong answers, and I asked the AI like, can I really trust you? And he said like the AI said no, like I'm just like collecting all those like image which all the people put it out there, and don't ask me whether it is truth or not. Like I'm not like qualified to decide the information is truth or false. So that's one weakness, and I think because we don't need to think about AI is perfect, but there's also the weakness still, and with that weakness and advantage, how we can use it wisely.
Mhm. Yeah, this discussion can go on and on and on about the AI's ability, the reliability stuff. Before that, please see Enrico's remark about your Stella and Cello. You have a fan, so you gotta have them to see the light. And I think we are reaching quite late time, so I will actually return to Suran. Earlier, we couldn't have more time hearing her comments, and I think probably she has at least one or two more questions to either of the speakers. So, Suran, why don't you go ahead and finish up?
Sure. Well, it's interesting because I think on the comments section, Enrico says, yes, we are still partners, collaborators with AI. And I think this kind of goes on with my next question. It is, I know you've been, I think in this whole discussion, we've been talking about AI as a tool and like, how do we use it as a designers, as landscape architects, like, but I kind of want to flip the question and kind of want to ask, like, should we be thinking about our different mindset? Like, should we treat, like, what if we should treat AI as like an independent agent that has the ability to, and it does. I know it right now there's a lot of false information that is getting feed, but it also means if with the right correct amount of with the truthful information and with a lot of them absorbed together, which is kind of what AI can do, should we think about AI differently, like as partners rather than tools? And what I kind of thought was interesting in Junghyun's presentation is that the iterative process that you've been showing on developing Stella and Cello, I could believe that could be one of Youngmin's slide showing like how AI was iterating all these forms on the pebbles. And I think that kind of gave me a really interesting aspect of like, almost like if that was the truth, like we're almost the tools that we're building for that. So I just want to ask, and maybe this is too much of a broad question, but like what happens if we look at AI as like not as just tools, but kind of a creative partners in their own right? Like,
Junghyun, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I think I can work with this run for next step of Salo and Sala. Yeah, you can. I think you can help me. Yeah, you can make your team to develop some new new system with our new friend, which is AI agents.
I think like what it really means about partner. Partner normally. I think it can be a partner in terms of if it's not a simple tool. If you're not talking about it's not the AI as a simple tool, but as a partner, what that means really a partner. I think one good example is Refik Anadol's work about Walt Disney Consult Hall, because I think that's a really good example about how AI can be a partner, because partner it should be equivalent, right? To be a partner, and I think the role for the AI as a partner is it's a motivator, or it's a competitor for designer, because without AI, those kind of question Refik Anadol raised was can building can dream? That was more a philosophical or more um, a literal question, right? And you can write a poem about it, but you can Refik Anadol, with the help of AI, he can actually show how the things can dream, things can have memory. So it's like a changing the whole rule of the game, right? What's memory is raising a question. What's memory? And what's dream? What's and can we go beyond what previous people thought? I think in that terms of meaning, I think AI can be a partner. So I think the issue is how we define the role of the partner, and I think it's up to us, right?
But one thing that AI is learning based on the information that the people produced, right? Yeah, mainly, yeah. But we are not fully understanding the mechanism of nature yet. So that's one of very interesting things, because AI will be involved based on our knowledges, our like really wide acknowledgements. But AI also didn't understand their mechanism natures yet. But the mechanism of nature as a model will also um, I don't know, but I believe in the value of nature, but we are also very early stage. We develop very our technology, our understanding of the world, but we didn't find any alien from the other universe. So because there's also a lot to do, there's a lot to go. So that is the thing we can consider.
That's very interesting. So one of the very apparent advantage of having AI is that it helps us when we don't know the stuff in the middle, and it still helps us to go through it. So it's a big booster for our intelligence. So in that way, I mean, it could be our friend at least, but if not partners. So, and just FYI for the speakers, there were a few requests from the audience today asking if it's possible to get in touch with you guys. So I'll leave it up to you whether you share your contact information. And I think we covered most of the questions from the YouTube, so I think it's time for us to wrap up. So I'll give a minute or two for each of you, two speakers, to have a closing remark. Why don't you go ahead, Jonghyun, first?
Well, yeah, it was very interesting to talk with you guys. And then, yeah, and then this is the first time to join the IFLA APR event. So I really enjoyed the event. And then, yeah, next time, yeah, we can talk. I hope we can have the next event soon. And yeah, talk more about more interesting issues.
Yeah,
Thank you.
As a part of the IFLA APR members, I got some complaints about from other colleagues in other countries that, hey, why Koreans are just quiet and you're just doing nothing here. So, oh, sorry about it. And I realize a lot of people want to know more about the Korean landscape architecture. Today, we didn't really show our projects, and of course, the Kane and Suran, they're also the landscape architects doing a great project. So I wish we have a chance to show more about our more landscape architectural work. Of course, this kind of like an interesting topic discussion is also good, but I wish we have more chance to introduce like a Korean landscape architecture, the projects to you all guys. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe next time the Kane and Strong will give us some presentation, right?
Oh, this was a relay kind of thing. So, all right. Well, huge thanks to Youngmin and Jonghyun for your talk, insights, and also thank you everyone who for staying with us and fed us a lot of great questions and reflections. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Suran. I think this is it for today. Bye.
Bye.